and welcome to Spotlight on Stage. I'm Michelle Eagleton, the arts and culture correspondent for I Love Manchester, and this is our weekly theatre magazine show. If you are new to Spotlight on Stage, a great big welcome. If you've been watching every week, hello there. Do keep spreading the word. This is a place to be if you love theatre. We talk about theatre news. I interview stars from the stage, and you can always find out what's going on at the theatres this week right here. We like to kick off though with the news, and this week it comes from Hope Mill Theatre. Yes, it's very exciting about a forthcoming production. Now, I mentioned this production last week on Spotlight on Stage. It is, of course, Lizzie, the rock musical. It's returning this October to Hope Mill Theatre after a successful run last year, but they have just revealed it is going to be extended. So instead of running 3 weeks, you have got 4 glorious weeks from the 17th of October to Sunday, the 17th of November. And not only that, they have announced the full casting, and up there you've got Kaylee McKnight. She's been in productions like Six and Jesus Christ Superstar. Lizzie is going to be Katie Tonkinson, who you may have seen before in Bonnie and Clyde. You've got Jennifer Caldwell from Six and Fantastically Great Women Who Changed the World, and also Emily Louise Israel from Hamilton. And completing the cast is another familiar face. You may have seen it in Lizzie last year. It's Emma Louise Huey, and she was absolutely brilliant. Now, the musical explores the life of Lizzie Borden. This is a true story. Lizzie was accused of murdering her father and stepmother with an axe in the late summer of 1892. It sounds gory, but the way that they do it, it really is so effective. You really feel for Lizzie on her journey. And of course, the rock music is epic. Expect some incredible vocals on this one and a lot of girl power. There is an all-female band as well as that all-female cast. If you want to go and see it, then tickets are already on sale. I definitely think it is a good one to watch. I've got to say, I love Lizzie. It is a brilliant show and great to have that extended run at Hope Mill Theatre. Now, talking of powerful women, I got the chance to catch up last week with someone who's about to portray one of the most powerful women of the 80s. You may not have liked her, but Matt Tedford is about to take on the role of Margaret Thatcher. Yes, it's Margaret as you've never seen her before, a drag act and the Queen of Soho. This is going to be on the Keys Theatre from tomorrow night, the 10th of September, until the 14th of September. And Matt told me what we can expect. It's going to be hilarious.
This is fantastic that you are coming to the Lowry. Very exciting. You've been at the Edinburgh Fringe, you've been on the West End, you have done UK tours. I just think this has just stood the test of time. Is it 10 years or so that you've been doing this, Matt?
It has. I mean, one more year and I'll have been Margaret Thatcher, Queen of Soho, longer than Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister of the country. So I always say, because I'm a local boy from the Northwest, I'm from Widnes, and I always say I'm the only Northerner that Thatcher ever gave work to. So I'm very grateful, 10 years on, to still be selling out up and down the country as Margaret Thatcher. Yeah, it's been great.
It's absolutely brilliant. You look fabulous as Maggie as well, I've got to say.
Thank
Maybe
you.
better than she did herself, but you know.
Yeah, it's over the 10 years with more budget, and I've gotten better at sort of wigs and stuff, so that gradually the aesthetic has gotten better. But I've got wardrobes now, unfortunately, which are just blue suits and pussy blow blouses. And I go past vintage shops, and if there's something in the window, I'm like, oh, that's quite nice. And I find myself shopping for Thatcher rather than shopping for myself, unfortunately.
So the Thatcher costume has been adapted over the years because, again, the show itself has adapted and you kind of use that. So say that you came to see it, you know, a couple of years ago, you're going to see something different, especially with the audience included.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the Thatcher costume changes depending on how my weight is fluctuating throughout the year, mostly. She's much skinnier in January than she is than sort of later on in the year. But yeah, over the show does change every night. I mean, it's an alternative history of Section 28, and people come back night after night and have continued to come back night after night over the last 10 years because it does change every night. The audience very much is a part of the show. I mean, no one's going to get you up on stage. It's not that sort of thing. But it is them as the fourth character in the show. And people come up to me like, I was there that night that woman threw up in a handbag. I was there the night that the fella jumped off the seating. I was there the night that they shouted out abuse. And yeah, it really does change. And as a performer, that's really great because, you get the same show 10 years, night after night after night. But it's just not like that because the vibe changes and the energy changes. And depending on whether it's a Friday night or a Saturday night or what mood we're all in, it really can change. But it's important that we take it back to like it is about Section 28 and that alternative history. But we're all there to have a good time. And like that's what theatre's about. Nobody goes to the theatre not wanting to have a good night out. And that's what you're guaranteed with this show.
And the thing is, you have managed to achieve that with something that is a serious subject, which was massive in 1988, which is when this starts. It's the night before, isn't it, that Section 28 came into force. But I think in doing that and bringing that element of comedy, sometimes it can be even more hard-hitting without being a bit stale.
Oh, yeah, completely. I mean, it was amazing to me when we started writing the show how few people were actually aware of Section 28. I mean, I think now people are a little bit more aware, but I was very much a child of Section 28. I was born in 87. Section 28 came in 88, and then it wasn't repealed till the Blair government when I left formal education. So I remember very vividly being in school in Widnes and people asking questions about being gay and teachers just not answering. And I still to this day do not know whether that was because they just didn't want to or whether legally they were not allowed to, because it was very much that culture of fear. I think what's really interesting is that was the 80s, 90s and early noughties, but it's still so relevant today with everything that's going on with sort of drag queen story times and trans rights and all that issues, again, with the right sort of really honing in on this alternative way of teaching people how to be whomever they are. It's just incredibly interesting, and it has resonated throughout the last 10 years. And every time we sort of go, oh, is it stale? Does it need to change? We put it on and it strikes something within people, and there's always something current, unfortunately, that's going on about repressing the LGBTQI community. Hopefully that'll change, but we carry on pushing forward, and it is an important part of our history as well.
And is this how it came to be between you and John? Because you've co-wrote this and devised it with your best friend, ultimately, John Britton. And
Yes.
so was it because of that and the strong meaning to yourself and the community? We're going to do this, but let's do it our way.
Oh, I'd like to say that yes, it was. But unfortunately, it was a Halloween costume that I went to his house for Halloween. And he'd done a rule of no witches, no devils and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, well, what'd be funny? So I was like, I'll go as Thatcher. And he opened the door and he was like, well, you've won Halloween. I was like, I know, dear. And then he was a writer in residence of a theatre called Theatre 503, a new writing theatre in London. John is a prolific writer. He's won 2 Oliviers. He's written for The Crown. Like he writes The Dick Turpin with Noel Fielding on Apple TV. Like he's a proper writer. And he was a writer in residence, and they put on when Thatcher died a rapid response night called Thatcherite, which was a selection of short plays. And he said, come on, they're giving me a 15-minute piece, but you and I will write something together. It'll be a bit of a laugh. It'll just be for a week and then we'll never do it again. I was like, oh, all right then. And we did the piece, which was just about Maggie getting lost in Soho. And it really resonated. And the reviews came in and they said sort of the night itself is, kind of fine, but go for the last 15 minutes just to see Tedford in drag as Thatcher. And then we've extended it for the hour. We've done the 2-act version. We've done a sequel where, Queen of Game shows where you could come along and play for your unemployment benefit. We do club nights, podcasts. I've walked up and down the streets of Edinburgh, London, you name it, as Thatcher. We've been to Australia and Ireland and all over. And it really is just this beast that has really done something to people. And maybe whether it's the performance or whether it's the script or whether it's just a combination of everybody sort of enjoying it, it's just such a surprise. And we're so lucky that 10 years in, people, as I say, still come back night after night after night. And I still enjoy it, which is strange.
And that's the great thing about it, you know. But what I think they must like is you could have made her this figure of hate, right? And you could have gone in that direction like many have, but because there's this fantasy world and we're seeing her in this different light, it is quite, you know, we like that, you know. It's, you've got that connection.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, when we sort of sat down, we did start writing it. John was working around the bar, and I'm sat at the bar, and he said, well, "What is it about Thatcher specifically that you think is interesting?" And when you look at her on paper, she was the first female leader of our country. She ran the Conservative Party in a time when women did not have a lot of say. She really did break the glass ceiling in a lot of ways. The power dressing, the androgynous voice, the iconic look. She has all the makings of a gay icon with none of the love. So we decided to turn that on its head and give her a bit of love. Get her singing some disco hits, get her out dancing, get her cracking a few jokes. Basically, you know, if she'd been Cher, but with better marketing. So that's what we've kind of done with this show. And I think there are the people we will say it's not for Thatcher bashers, because what's the fun in that, really? But it's also not necessarily for people who love Thatcher, but people from all over the spectrum, and not just the gay community, but the straight community, the young and old, have come to see it and take away something different.
Yeah.
It's that power of, you come out on stage as Thatcher, and other than Jesus and Father Christmas, no other character, do you instantly come out and people go, I know who this is. I've got this relationship with this character all straight away. And taking their preconceived ideas and turning them on the head. And then they come out and they go, well, I think I like Thatcher now. Or they go, I think I hate her in a little bit in a different way. Or thank you for not bashing her too much. And we've had doctors and nurses that knew her. We've had her bodyguards. We've had family friends come. And yeah, all the time. And then they come back and they bring other people and they go, wasn't it like this? And wasn't it like that? I've been to the Foreign and Commonwealth Office as Thatcher. I've been to many events. I've had dinner with Richard E. Grant and Darcy Bustle and all these people as Thatcher.
That is
and then I meet them as myself, and I'm like, oh, hello, I'm Matt. We met. So did we? I'm like, I'm Margaret Thatcher. And yes, we did. Yes, we did. So yeah, it's very, very.
Like, can you put the wig back on, Matt? Can you?
Yeah. Sometimes.
Talking of celebrities, though, we actually get a few of them in it. I heard Serene McKellen.
Yeah, Serena McKellen, who I made a film, my Maggie made a film with Serena McKellen a couple of years ago for Pride. So I have met him in real life as Thatcher. And you've got Peter Tatchell thrown in there. You've got all of Thatcher's cabinet and a lot of people that people will remember from that time as well as a few smattering of some newer celebrities. Like, we keep it current and we also hark back to the 80s at the same time. So there really is something for everybody. Don't think if you're not clued up on 80s politics, it's not going to be for you, because it definitely is.
It is like pure cabaret. I imagine you sat in that audience and you feel like you are in Soho. You are in that cabaret bar.
Absolutely. And it's a real sort of get up and dance at the end. Don't sing too loudly, because she will call you out and say, it is a show. But no, it's a real get on your feet, have a great time, learn something, but it's not going to be shoved down your throat unless that's what you're looking for. It's a real party of atmosphere, because there ain't no party like the Conservative Party.
Doesn't he sound like her? He is fantastic. If you want to see Matt in action as Margaret Thatcher, Queen of Soho, then do book your tickets right now. You can get them from our website, ilovemanchester.com/theatre. Now, let's take a look at what else is on at the theatres this week. While staying with the Lowry, over on the Lyric stage is Murder on the Orient Express, the Agatha Christie classic with Poirot at the helm. Of course, it is the winter of 1934 and an avalanche has stopped the Orient Express dead in its tracks. And when I say dead, I mean there's also been a murder on board, but who has done it? This is a brilliant whodunit. It will keep you guessing right till the end. And if you want to see it, then as I say, you have got until the 14th. Elsewhere over at the Palace Theatre, you've got the Book of Mormon. Now, this is a hilarious and not very politically correct musical. It's embarked on its UK tour, and of course, it is making a stop in Manchester. It's been hailed as the best musical of this century, and I've got to say, it is one of my favourites. It's all about the misadventures of a mismatched pair of missionaries sent on a mission to a place that's about as far from Salt Lake City as you can get. If you want to laugh lots, then as I say, get yourself down to the Palace Theatre. It opens on Wednesday and it runs until the 5th of October. A little bit further afield, if you fancy a trip to Prescott, and it's not really that far actually off the motorway, Shakespeare North Playhouse have got a classic with a twist. They have got Romeo and Juliet on stage there from this Friday until the 5th of October. It is the ultimate Shakespeare play about love, and this beautiful retelling of that love story seamlessly weaves in British Sign Language, captions, and audio description. So every show is performed in a relaxed environment and by an incredible ensemble of deaf, disabled, and neurodivergent actors. I think this is going to be a really special one to go and see. And staying with Shakespeare over at the Royal Exchange, Midsummer Night's Dream is getting a bit of Manchester feel injected into it. Yes, this is celebrating the vibrant tapestry of Manchester's contemporary rave scene with sweaty dance-offs, drum and bass, and lots of love anthems. It's a really electrifying adaptation of A Midsummer Night's Dream. It's really kind of brought it into the 21st century. And of course, it's all about the city preparing for a royal wedding with four young ravers fighting for a future they desire. But each step brings them closer to the edge of pleasure and peril. There are ravers in it, there's fairies in it too, and there's also the onstage appearance of Manchester based Salah, one of the most exciting artists and DJs of today. You might have seen her in Channel 4's The Piano. Now, over at Hope Mill Theatre, prepare to be gooped because it's all about Gwyneth. Yes, she's a goop founding, door sliding, Shakespeare in loving, consciously uncoupling Hollywood superstar. And now she's in Yanko's because this is all about her being on the slopes of Deer Valley. You might remember the real life story of Gwyneth colliding into a retired optometrist from Utah. That was back in 2016. The play now has come to the stage and it's had sellout runs and quite critical acclaim as well at the Edinburgh Fringe. It's a story of love, betrayal, and skiing where you are the jury. If you want to take a look at this one, it is at Hope Mill from the 11th of September to the 21st of September. I think it's going to be fun. And finally, over at home in Manchester and part of Pride at Home 2024 is I bought a flip phone. Now, this is about a guy who has a best friend that takes ages to reply, a mum that won't stop messaging, and endless streams of people whose lives look better than his own. So, what does he do? He buys an old school flip phone before his 27th birthday. So, no more 5 hours of screen time a day. That'll make him happier, won't it? Well, if you want to find out if it does, that is running from the 11th of September, this Wednesday, until Saturday, the 14th of September. Oh, so many productions there, and they all sound fantastic. If you want to find out more about them or book tickets, then all you need to do is head to our website, ilovemanchester.com/theatre. I'll be back with more Spotlight on Stage next week. If you loved what you saw, then do follow us on our Facebook page and spread the word to your friends and family. We're here every Monday with the latest theatre news, interviews with stars from the stage, and of course, what's on this week at the theatres. Have a great week yourself, and I'll see you next Monday.